take projection.
It's Wednesday morning, and you know what that means. It's time for another episode of the Alabama Slam podcast. I'm your host, Corey Hanna.
What's going on, guys? It's Patrick Akers.
And we thought about not having a podcast this week because not really much has happened, right?
Was this 3 weeks in a row?
Yeah. Fairly slow week for wrestling, I would say.
Damn, bro. This is... I mean, we'll get into it.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. Psych. Just kidding. We're going to jump right in. We're going to start with WWE this week. And then obviously we've got a lot to cover for AEW. So stick around for the last half of the podcast for that. But WWE had a pretty good pay-per-view this weekend with Payback. You know, it was not the best one of the year, but there was some pretty solid shit in there. And then we get some big news that comes up in the Grayson Waller effect, so we can get there shortly. But started off pretty hot with Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus in a steel cage match. A lot better than I really expected out of this.
I really dug this match.
Yeah,
I thought it was good. If this is the way that Trish finally ends her career, I mean, I'm a big Trish Stratus fan, but I don't know her match-ography. Is that a thing? Match-ography?
It is now.
It is now? We'll trademark that. I don't know her match-ography that well, but this has to be up there with one of the best ones she's ever done. Surprisingly physical.
Yeah, there was a lot going on, like from the top of the fucking cell.
Yeah, so she's dangling completely upside down. Becky grabs her back in. She hits the superplex. The crowd was into it. I felt the crowd didn't really know. They got them into it. The crowd was just kind of at the start of it, but then like by the end, they were fully on their feet. And yeah, it's a good look for Becky Lynch. And like I said, if this is the way Trish goes out, what a hell of a way to go out. It seems like it's probably the end for Trish though, because you did the whole thing with Zoe Stark, hitting her with. I don't know if I've ever seen Stark's finishing move. So what the hell is like a damn flipping GTS? Looked pretty damn cool.
Yeah. I mean, we get the turn there from, I guess Zoe turns on Trish.
Yeah.
And then Shayna Baszler shows up to challenge her on Raw, right?
Yeah, which I thought was just like, why? Why would you not have both of these women just squash somebody else? Why do they have to go against each other? Unless they're probably going to make them a tag team, which that's probably what it looks like.
Yeah.
Maybe going down the line. But yeah, thank you, Trish, I guess. This was, was a hell of a way.
Yeah, it's a good way to start the show, I thought. Because at first when I saw it, I was like, I don't know if this will be a starter, but I mean it.
I'm with you though, and this is not a shot at WWE. A lot of people do this. I'm not a fan of you can win a cage match by escaping or just opening. The ref just opens the door.
Yeah.
Nah. Well, not a fan of that. Does AEW do that?
I don't think so. I could be wrong. That's why I texted you and friend of the show, Steven, that day. I was like, has it always been that you can just walk through the fucking cage? Because if so, that's fucking stupid. But I always thought you had to go over the top. Still,
though, the point of a cage is that you can't escape it. That is the whole point of a cage. Now, I get that WWE has, they're trying to protect the gimmick a little bit. That's what they have Hell in a Cell for, right? But still, yeah, when you brought that up this weekend, I was trying to go back and think. I was like, have cage matches always been that way? Maybe AEW does do it. I don't know. I don't remember a lot of cage matches in AEW. The Cody Rhodes one is the only one I remember. We did the moonsault off the top of it.
That sounds right, yeah.
The rest of them have all been blood and guts and that kind of stuff. But yeah, other than that, though, great start to the pay-per-view.
Yeah, good start for sure. We don't have to spend too much time on it. We got a bunch of other stuff to get into. And next up, our man's LA Knight versus The Miz with the special guest referee, John Cena.
Hell of a rub for LA Knight, right? I mean, he is in there with a dude like The Miz, who has been nothing but a consummate professional for 2 decades, and then John Cena, who is arguably one of the biggest stars that company's ever had. And LA Knight comes out the victor and, gets the damn top of the ramp, arm held up by John Cena. I mean, that's... Yeah. What more can you say? What more do you want?
I read today that he's listed as the number 1 babyface on the site now, on WWE site. When he was, just recently, he was the number 4 heel.
Yeah.
right?
The crowd was just like, nah, we like this dude.
And WWE's like, nah, he's still not officially a babyface. I'm like, you could say that he's not a babyface,
Yeah.
but he's a babyface.
Yeah, I mean, those pops keep getting louder and louder. I mean, it is damn near deafening at this point. And there are people who are going to these shows. I was listening to one wrestling podcast this week, and they were like, it was a Ring of Wrestling show. He was like, I took my nephew to go see SmackDown, and like when you roll down the windows, just driving around the stadium like close to showtime, everyone's just saying, yeah, like it's a thing. It's a big thing in wrestling right now. It is wild to see this dude's meteoric rise. Because like I said, like we talked about, he was kind of nothing 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And it is like now he's kind of have to be on every show or people get pissed off that they don't see him. And like t-shirts are popping up everywhere.
Yeah. Did you see, I can't remember if it was Collision or during All Out on Sunday, but about 3 rows in front of the hard camera, so like opposite the hard cam, there's a dude in the 3rd, 4th row dressed like LA Knight.
Yeah.
Glasses, vest, shirt. had a LA Knight shirt. I was like, well, that's kind of funny.
Yeah. It's dude, it's been a joy to watch. We've had a couple of cool things since we've been doing this podcast that have popped off. And his LA Knight's rise to the top of the card has really been something. And listen, we've talked about, why are they not putting the U.S. title on this guy? Maybe it's because they have bigger aspirations for him. Maybe this motherfucker's about to be in, 8 months, World Heavyweight Champion, WWE Universal Champion. Like, I don't know.
I mean, maybe. They say that they've got big plans. And, we thought it was the TV title. And we've even pitched the idea of maybe him having the Intercontinental title, which we'll get to at some point. Hell of a match last night between Gunther and Chad Gable.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, who knows? Like,
maybe we were, maybe in the words of Tom Hardy from Inception, maybe we have to aim a little bigger. Aim a little bigger, darling. Maybe that's what we were supposed to do with LA Knight.
Yeah. And speaking of the TV title, or the United States title rather, you had Rey Mysterio versus Austin Theory. This was fine. Nothing like superb in this one. I was like, it does seem a little weird that Rey's got the belt now. I know it'll be short lived, but this was just okay.
Yeah, I mean, the match was fine. It's a classic WWE match. It is what it is. I just want to ask a question. Did Cinnamon Toast Crunch, have they just officially sponsored all of Rey Mysterio's PLE matches?
Oh, that's a good question.
If so, that's a pretty good get. Because, like, we talked about, Cinnamon Toast Crunch was a sponsor for his match against Dominic at WrestleMania. It's the sponsor here for this match.
Yeah, because didn't they have one in, was it Survivor Series where LA Knight and Bray had the Mountain Dew match? Didn't they have a Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
Probably. And if so, like, who can we afford to sponsor? Because we don't got a lot of chain. We're not Cinnamon Toast Crunch. But I feel like we could probably get...
Honey Nut Scooters.
Yeah, we could probably get some Honey Nut Scooters to sponsor. I don't know. Who the fuck could we get? Mustafa Ali? We get something like it. Can we get some fucking sponsored matches on like Main Event or like those Hulu shows that are like 45 minutes long that they do before they tape SmackDown and Raw and stuff? Let's get Alabama Slam Podcast sponsors fucking Veer or whoever else. We'll just get our logo on this fucking side banner there.
Look, we're doing good to keep this podcast up. My wife and I were talking about it last night. Between this and my Star Wars podcast with the homies and her book podcast, we're dropping $60 a month on Libsyn fees. Like, damn, that adds up when you multiply that shit by 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do need to sponsor. We need to sponsor a New South thing here at some point if we can come up with a little
swing
cash.
it.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Let's get into the undisputed WWE Tag Team title with Judgment Day versus KO and Sammy. This was fun as shit. Not the outcome I wanted, but it was fun.
Yeah, this was really great. This had everything you wanted from just a balls to the wall, crazy. Let's try to do as much cool shit in the crowd as we possibly can. I love them getting dumped behind the barrier and then coming back up with the hockey jerseys and the hockey sticks. I mean, that's fantastic. I love the Kevin Owens nods to Terry Funk with the shirt and the other little gimmicks he did during this match. And then, the crazy swanton he does.
I think he overshot him a little bit.
A little bit. Just
I bet
a
he was
hair.
a little sore.
That's probably why he wasn't at Monday Night Raw, maybe fucked up a little bit of the low back. But also, you want to protect the guy on the table, too. I mean, you don't want to land.
Yeah.
Kevin Owens is a big dude. You don't want to 260 pounds directly on a dude's sternum. So,
yeah,
it's, kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing. But I thought it was great. And yeah, even though that Kevin and Sammy lost, it made them look strong because it literally took all of Judgment Day plus JD McDonough to put them down. Yeah. And, now we have Judgment Day in that, they're at the point now of every single faction where they have all the belts or as many belts as they can currently have right now because you don't want them in the world title picture or anything like that.
Right.
So they have all the belts. And I mean, this is a classic move that every single heel faction does at some point. I mean, the Horsemen did it over and over, Evolution. I mean, you go down the list. They have all the belts and have all the gold because there's just something about a group of people draped in titles that just looks fucking badass no matter which way you cut it. So, yeah, but I thought this was great. Probably, I think match of the night by far. Between that,
entertainment value for sure.
Between that and Becky and Trish. So, this was great, fantastic. Now it's what happens with Judgment Day. JD McDonough has now seemingly kind of gotten to the good graces of Damian Priest.
Yeah, I mean, brought out the purple senior Money in the Bank case last night.
Now, are they doing a thing where like Finn and JD McDonough are secretly going to try to swindle the fucking briefcase out of Damian Priest's hands? Because they did the whole thing where they swapped it, right? They swapped the briefcases. Dominic kind of took it a little bit and had a little bit of a crooked smile about it. Like, are they? I don't know. It'd be kind of cool if they did. If they screwed Damian out of this thing by just like giving him a briefcase that didn't actually have the contract in it, and they were the ones that had the contract. And I don't know. We'll have to see how that plays out. Obviously, there's going to be a break at this point. This Judgment Day group at some point, coming probably within the next couple months at WrestleMania at least.
So you think like Finn and JD split off and do their own thing, and then somebody else comes in,
or Judgment Day has, they are now to the point where they have all the titles, but they've been a faction now for a while. I mean, they've been a faction so long that fucking Edge is about to probably show up in AEW here in a couple months. That's how long they've been a faction. So they've had a good run. It's just that they've kind of been overshadowed by the bloodline for the most of it. But you have to wonder how longer you can string this story out. I think it probably comes to a head at WrestleMania. I think some of these guys, a Damian Finn match at WrestleMania would kind of make sense. Because they're at the top right now, so there's only one way this thing can go.
Yeah, true.
And of course, Rhea Ripley has firmly cemented herself as the leader of this group.
Yeah.
Like we've said for a couple weeks now. I mean, no question at this point.
Yeah. And then some of the big news of the night came, like we mentioned earlier, via the Grayson Waller effect. Cody Rhodes was there. And you're like, you start looking at it, you're like, okay, well, you don't just have Cody come out and do nothing on Grayson Waller effect, right? You got to have something pop off. So he announces that Jey Uso is now a member of the Raw roster. Because remember a couple of weeks ago, Jey quote unquote quit WWE and SmackDown.
Yep.
So the repercussions of this are that last night, Adam Pearce catches Jey backstage and he's like, hey, some people are going to be mad that you're here and we've got to send somebody to SmackDown now, blah, blah, blah. So I haven't read any about who could possibly go to SmackDown. Do you have any any speculation? I don't know what they could do there. That would make sense. I don't know. Who knows? It'll be interesting to watch it, and how quickly does it play out, and who are the ones that are quote unquote pissed that he's there.
Well, Drew McIntyre, obviously.
Yeah.
Matt Riddle, they had their thing. The Bloodline has made a lot of enemies, and Jey Uso has been at the forefront of that for the longest time. This is clearly setting up what I think would be a very cool WrestleMania match between Jey and Jimmy Uso.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jey literally his entrance is in blue. Jimmy's literally is in red. Like they're setting up to do it. I still think that they do a 4-way match at Survivor Series between both Uso brothers, Solo and Roman. I think it still goes down that route, because you could easily just have Roman show up on Monday Night Raw and be like, "What do you think? You could just run away from this?" It gives Cody Rhodes though another ally in his fight against Roman Reigns, because you've got to think that that's where this thing is headed.
True. And then you got the handshake or / hug, rather, I guess, between Jey and Sammy last night.
Yeah. So you got Sammy in that corner too.
They brought Usi back.
Usi came back.
He
Yeah.
said, Sammy didn't get the handshake, so he starts walking off, and Jay's like, "Hey, wouldn't be very Usi of me to let you walk off," or whatever he said.
I also love in Payback too, the nice little subtle moment. I don't guess it was that subtle because commentary talked about it, but Cody just standing on the ramp, the camera's in a close-up, and he's like, "Well, I hope I don't regret this," because which I thought was a great little thing. The crowd is still firmly behind Jey Uso. I mean,
yeah,
there's a lot of white folks throwing their arms up and down off rhythm. I mean, that was the funniest thing I thought. Just when he was like coming down through the crowd, there were just a bunch of just old white folks trying to get hip with it, and just was not happening. But Jay's a special talent, man, and was a tag team specialist for the longest, but really he has broken out into his own over these past couple of years, and he has a real connection with the crowd. And
yeah,
we'll see what kind of plans they have for him for a singles run post WrestleMania, because I think he's still going to be embroiled in this bloodline story till then. But Jimmy and Jey have always talked about they wanted to face each other at WrestleMania before their careers ended. And seems like where that's headed. That's going to be a cool moment for those two brothers too, if that's what happens. Because you got to think about if
they don't do it this year, when are they going to do it?
Exactly, and why would it? It has to be this year. It's got to be this year. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out with him.
So next up for the women's world title match, Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez. This was okay. I'm still waiting for Rhea to have her big. It doesn't feel like she's had that one big spectacular match since she's had the belt.
Well, and two, going back to Kevin and Sammy, like what was their one big spectacular match or program? Like their program has really only been against the Judgment Day. So for as much as we've liked Roman Reigns' run, for as much as we have liked Gunther's just for the sheer match quality, that's kind of been it, right? Title-wise, for the people that have had unique and sort of standout title reigns. I mean, everybody else is just kind of not inconsequential, but just and Rhea included. I mean, she's a big-time star, but the match was fine. And that's just kind of what it was. It was just fine. They're still going to do it. Raquel Rodriguez is going to get her shot back with, Dominic Barr from ringside. But I don't know. Yeah, even though, we both think Rhea is a big star, a lot of people think Rhea is a big star. Where's that jump come next? And who was going to be her dance partner? That's always the biggest thing.
Right.
Because anytime anybody has ascended to a next level of stardom, it's been because there's been another person there that's helped elevate them to that. I mean, you think about Stone Cold, Bret Hart, that match.
You saw a lot of that at All Out on Sunday.
Yeah.
A lot of people talking about, Danielson officially making Starks a top tier guy, because they were like, well, we can get to that. But, the same thing was said about Cassidy and Mox.
Yeah.
The other night, right? Yeah.
You go through wrestling. I mean, Harley Race helped make Ric Flair. Ric Flair helped make Sting. I mean, it goes on and on. You have to have somebody that helps elevate you. And, Rhea's problem is, I don't know. You think it would have been Charlotte Flair, but it was kind of just, their match was at WrestleMania was kind of just thrown together haphazardly. I would really be interested to see Bianca versus Rhea, but they're on separate shows. And they've teased it a little bit.
Yeah. They're kind of, I mean, what they're doing with her is they're establishing her dominance, and I get it, but like there needs to feel like there's a challenge at some point, and her matches have not had much of that.
Yeah, it doesn't feel this way because it is this way, but she's like Rhea in the Judgment Day first, then she's Rhea, the women's champion, second. And, I don't know when that changes, if that changes anytime soon. Until then, I guess we keep getting the Raquel Rodriguez's of the world and the Selena Vegas and all those types of women on that tier that go up against her and, just get beat.
Yeah. So next up, last one of the night, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Seth Rollins for the world heavyweight title. We talked a little bit off mic before we recorded, and this one was okay. I mean, it didn't hit as hard as I felt like it was going to, right?
Yeah, I mean, really, what you want out of a main event is for it to be the best match, and it was probably third in the line on this pay-per-view. One thing I did absolutely love the anime entrance video for Shinsuke. I thought that was fantastic. And Shinsuke played a good heel here, got some good heat on Seth Rollins. The crowd is, 100% behind Seth, and he's a huge star. But yeah, it was, again, just kind of okay, classic. I guess what it is at this point, it's just a classic WWE house style title match. It really wasn't anything too crazy about it, too interesting. It did what it needed to do. It told its story, and that was that. I did think it was a little weird, though. I don't know if they ran out of time. I don't know if they were planning to do this, but like after the match ended, Seth wins. The camera just kind of lingers. It just kept lingering.
It felt weird. I was like, something's about to happen.
And I was like, Judgment Day's music's about to hit, and he's either going to try to cash in or he's going to stand at the ramp or something. And then it was just like, nah, it just went off. And then, of course, on Monday Night Raw, they played what happened after the fact, which is Shinsuke attacks Seth again, and to keep this rivalry going. But yeah, just a weird little production thing where it just kind of lingered and lingered. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I like these two guys. I like the promos between each other. I fucking hate the what chant. The what chant, I am so glad that AEW fan base has not gotten into this, and hopefully they never do. It absolutely kills any kind of fucking promo in WWE. It is the absolute worst. And there's no way to get around it. It's going to happen probably for forever. But it absolutely killed Shinsuke's promo Monday night. Because, of course, he's speaking in Japanese. He's taking his time. And, like, after every pause, there's just a, what? It's fucking stupid. It's so stupid. For all the great joy that Stone Cold brought to the business, I'd be damned if that sumbitch probably didn't bring absolutely one of the worst things that ever happened to this business, too. Which is just awful. Anyway. Yeah. Side tangent. Yeah.
It did kill the mood of what Shinsuke was trying to do, right?
Yeah, because here he is. He's going to be menacing. He's going to be stalking. And, like, there's just fucking 15,000 idiots chanting what?
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Yeah, it was fine for a match, but like you were saying, it needs to be top level if it's going to be the main event, and it just didn't.
Well, that's what you would hope for it to be. It doesn't have to be, but sure. That's what you hope. That's why. If you want to look at it from as much of a realistic standpoint as possible, like that's why these dudes are in the main event, because they are supposed to be the two best. And it was fine for what it was. Seth has had better matches. Shinsuke's had better matches. It was fine, but it was just good to watch. Payback was 3 hours. They kept it kind of short. That's why I think Triple H even said that's why the Gunther Chad Gable match happened on Monday Night Raw, because they wanted to keep Payback a little bit shorter. And listen, on a fucking Saturday when I don't really have most of the big time college football games had already happened, I turned it on and fucking I got Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus, and I got the crazy tag match. Like that's all I really want.
Yeah.
The rest of it can kind of come and go.
Yeah, well, let's switch gears and get into Raw then, because we did get Gunther versus Gable, and I thought that for whatever reason, Gunther had eclipsed Honky Tonk Man at some point in the last few days, right?
Somebody's off on some records or something. Somebody's fangling some numbers somewhere.
Because then I was like, okay, well, if he's surpassed him, then they're going to let Gable get this title. Because there was a lot of build up to it. There was a pre-show package. Gable's family was front row.
Yeah.
I was like, he's going to get this belt. And then there were a couple of moments during the thing. I was like, all right, he got it. This is it. And then it's like 9:58. Gable pulls off a big move. I'm like, all right, here we go. And then it didn't happen. And then they're like, okay, now he's officially eclipsed. I'm like, okay, well, did that not already happen? Like, which is it?
I think he like officially eclipses it either like today or tomorrow. So like this was the last chance.
Gotcha.
So yeah, when they said that, I was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, Gunther's going to win. This is just a cool little moment to kind of reward Chad Gable. Like, you get to main event of Monday Night Raw. Your family's here. Like, that's going to be a cool moment for him to look back on when his career's over with. I'm still not so sure that fucking Chad Gable doesn't beat Gunther at some point here in the next couple weeks to win the Intercontinental title.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the official WWE channel, I don't think, but something I ran across on TikTok. It's Gable backstage and he's fucking mad. And he's like, what he did after the match was disrespectful. He's like, my daughter's sitting there in the front row, crying her eyes out, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, well, maybe they're going to go back for a third.
Maybe this is a Survivor Series,
yeah.
Program or something. I don't know.
Because you could keep building and make it up, because we got another pay-per-view. What, early October?
Yeah, Fastlane. So maybe that's a Fastlane. Each one of these little small pay-per-views like Payback, Fastlane, even though they're not some of the big four, they still have to have stuff that happens in them to propel the story forward. So like Payback has the Judgment Day. That's the Judgment Day finally comes into full fold, right? That's kind of the theme of Payback. Fastlane could just be the crowning of Chad Gable as Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah.
And I mean, similar to the way that Orange Cassidy and Jon Moxley just main evented an AEW pay-per-view for, what would be considered a secondary title in that company. I'd be down to see Gable and Gunther main event Fastlane.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you're not going to have Roman Reigns there. Right?
Yeah. No Reigns.
You could do a Rollins again, but Rollins kind of looks tired.
Yeah. What are you more interested in at this point? You want to see Rollins and Nakamura again, or you want to see Chad Gable and Gunther again with having not to worry about commercial breaks? They got more time.
Yeah, based on what I saw last night, man, give me them two beating the shit out of each other.
So I could see that. And then you get Gunther, Gunther's just so ready to fucking be a damn main eventer. I mean, it's right there. Holy shit. He's got everything.
Yeah.
Everything. They're letting him cut promos now. I mean,
standing on the fucking announce desk. I love that.
Yeah, and last night he was just like in an all-white room. I mean, the dude's got everything. He's got star written all over him. So whenever they pull that trigger, he is going to be money for WWE. I love everything about that guy. So
is there anything else we need to cover WWE before we switch gears? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Not in the notes, at least.
No. Well, we get 2 months of John Cena.
They teased him being there last night, and then that was a funny gimmick, I thought.
Yeah, if you're gonna have John Cena, let him do that stuff. Oh, I would be remiss if I did not point this out from Monday Night Raw, because we have talked about the AEW's production issues, right? Sometimes they just miss things. WWE is so good at production that the fucking cameramen nailed John Cena's entrance, and John Cena was not even there Monday night. That's how good these fucking dudes are. I thought The Miz calling out John Cena and the cameramen being into it, because we all know, usually the stick is they just take a wide shot of the screen, right? The guy doesn't come out. And that's the cue to the television audience. Oh, this person's never going to come, because there are special camera moves associated with their entrance that you're not seeing. You're just getting to watch out of the screen, right? That's part of the language of pro wrestling. Whoever's idea it was Monday to just be like, no, y'all should just do the thing like he's doing it. Fantastic. A+ to you. The camera fucking going to the side like John Cena's running to the fans. The reaction shot from The Miz.
And Miz, like, quote unquote, throwing him over the ropes and doing the his fucking skull crushing finale.
Yeah, it was great. I even loved the camera spinning around and doing like John Cena was running. But then the thing that got me the most is like, so they do the running shot right. And of course, we're all talking about little nerd shit right now, but like the cameraman on the other side of the ring, who usually picks up the shot of John Cena sliding in and standing up, he even like tilted the camera up like John Cena was standing up. I was like, oh, this is fantastic. These dudes could literally do this in their sleep. That's how good they are.
Yeah.
So shout out to
production
yet again. That was a hell of a gimmick. That's an all-timer.
Yeah.
Out of the gimmick of the guy's music hits and him not coming out, this was an all-timer Monday night of that gimmick. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. So we are officially in the AEW half hour of the show. And I don't want to spend the whole time talking about what we're about to talk about, but we got to spend a little time.
We have to title this episode The Autopsy of CM Punk. We because this is the end of the quote unquote CM Punk era in AEW, and what should have been a match made in heaven, you can only categorize as a fucking nightmare,
a disaster. Only wrestled about half the time he was under contract, right? With injuries.
I mean, yeah, he just got back from 9 months. Before that, it was and then 5 months. Yeah. Like, it feels like it wasn't that long.
Got in officially 2 backstage skirmishes, right?
2 brawls
where there was fists thrown,
fisticuffs,
but then had other situations with William Regal apparently.
So there was a real William Regal one. There was a Ryan Nemeth.
Oh yeah.
There was Hangman may or may not be able to come into the building to cut a promo. Like, we don't know. It was reports back and forth on that. There's the calling Hangman out during the show, live show. There's the post-match. They go off air. He calls Hangman Pegman because all his toys are still hanging. I mean, there was
about 4 or 5 of them on the Target rack the other night when I was at Target.
Listen, man.
Maybe they just made an abundance of Hangman.
Yeah. I mean, see, it was entertaining. CM Punk thing was entertaining as hell.
It gave us a lot of stuff to talk about.
A lot of content. But yeah, if you were living under a rock this week, CM Punk, Phil Brooks is no longer all elite. Got
fired just a few hours before a Collision show in Chicago.
Yeah.
24 to 30 hours before All Out, where everybody kept thinking, okay, well, maybe they'll announce he's going to have a match. Because how do you run a show in Chicago and not have CM Punk there, right?
So we said that if Tony Khan took a stand and suspended this guy, he was a bigger idiot than what we thought. I think that was quote, maybe verbatim, that's probably what I said. I still stand behind that statement because we did not know that, and I'm not going to make fun of this because I don't fucking know. Tony Khan came out, Collision, he faced the buck head on. He said, I've never felt like my life was in danger. I felt like my life was in danger. I was like, okay, I'll buy that. If that's what you felt you needed to do, then kudos to you, man, at least for taking some kind of stand. Because, yeah, that shit can't fly.
Yeah.
It is pro wrestling, but it is also a place of business. It's a job.
Yeah.
Okay? You can't just have people fighting each other in the fucking coffee room of your job, you know?
Right, and you can't do it just backstage where monitors are falling over and fucking monitor knocks somebody out. That's a lawsuit.
Well, like you mentioned, there were cameras everywhere because it was Wembley.
Yeah.
They were filming everything. Everybody saw what happened. So,
it was wild that it happened Saturday, but also at the same time, not shocking. Like, shocking, but not shocking, I guess. Like, you know, because you're like, okay, well, the crowd's going to be fucking crazy, booing and stuff. Crowd was pretty hyped both nights.
Listen, that was our biggest fear. How is the Chicago crowd going to respond? How is the AEW crowd going to respond? guess what? The show just keeps on going. The train keeps rolling. Don't stop for nobody.
Well, and we were looking at the card last week and being like, okay, well, there's only a handful of matches announced, and they weren't that great. They were fine, there were some good matches, but as AEW is wont to do, they put on a fucking banger of a pay-per-view Sunday.
We also didn't know that fucking Bryan Danielson was going to come walking back through the door from his injury.
True.
So that's a big...
True, because twist, on Saturday night, you get the contract, quote-unquote contract signing between Starks challenge Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Ricky shows up and he's like, I got a contract. He's like, y'all know me by Ricky Steamboat, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. He's like, contract is Ricky Starks versus the Dragon.
Yeah.
And he goes to act like he's going to sign it. He's like, but there's also another Dragon.
Yeah.
Boom. Bryan Danielson. Place goes fucking wild.
Again, much like the WWE exit of CM Punk. CM Punk leaves. Who's there in WWE to pick up the pieces? Fucking Bryan Danielson, a.k.a. Daniel Bryan. The embarrassment of riches that this company has to just be able to rally whenever shit happens. It's like a basketball team, right? Down by 2. You're on 1996 Chicago Bulls. What do you do? We'll just 23's right there. Why don't we just pass it to him?
Well, and then the Bucks show up that night.
Yeah. But the ability for this company to just be like, we don't know what to do. What do we do? I don't know. Put the title on Jon Moxley. Oh shit, we were going to have Ricky Starks versus CM Punk main event or pay-per-view or be a huge part of a pay-per-view. What do we do? I don't know. Fucking, can Bryan go? Why don't we just put him in there? That's insane that you have that much level of talent that you can just rely on those guys to carry your company.
So I've seen a couple of different takes from different people on Twitter in terms of what now, right? Because they basically built a show around CM Punk, right? For Saturday night. And they had a quote unquote brand split. They've mostly held true to that, right? Like House of Black did show up on Dynamite recently. And you've had a little bit of crossover here and there, but not much, right?
Yeah.
But now you could just be like, fuck it. We need a hot show on Saturday night. Let's put some bangers on that we didn't have access to before because Phil was here.
Yeah, and fucking half of our locker room couldn't stand the motherfucker, so they couldn't show up to work on Saturdays.
Right. And I've seen one of the takes said you put Danielson in charge. Just be like, just give him a notepad and a computer and be like, draw this up. Yeah. What do you want on Saturday night? Right. And just let him eat and be in control. And the other thing I've seen, it was people saying, fuck it, let Jay White carry it. Jay White and Bullet Club have been hot as shit lately. Can they carry a Saturday night show, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
why not both?
Right.
It's like that little girl gif. Why not both? Why don't we just do both? Why don't we just fucking put Bullet Club Gold up against Blackpool Combat Club? Who says no?
I look, this is the way that, because the Bama game was on Saturday night during Payback. I had Payback on the TV and I was watching Bama on the iPad because I was like, it's not much of a game, right? I watched the first half hour on the TV.
Yeah.
And then switched the game to the iPad. But I'll probably watch Collision on the iPad this Saturday night because it's Bama and Texas, which should be a much better game. But I don't know, man. You put Blackpool Combat Club versus the Bullet Club Gold on Saturday Collision. That shit's probably going to be on the TV.
Well, listen, it's just we talked about before, and I think I said, if we never got CM Punk versus The Elite and Kenny Omega in a ring with live microphones, AEW would be a failure. I still stand by that statement because I think what drew AEW to us was their ability to blend a little bit of realism with a little bit of the working, right? I still think it's a failure. They never got anything like that in the ring because I think there was a lot of money to be made, but he's gone. CM Punk is no longer in AEW, so you got to move forward. So now, like what you said, a lot of people are asking, what now? Well, what now, I think, is that we can actually have a lot of motherfuckers eat around here. Like Swerve Strickland, Ricky Starks, Powerhouse Hobbs, Miro, House of Black,
Yeah, Miro and Hobbs we were like, who that should be just like a Saturday night Collision match. And these motherfuckers go out there and got the whole crowd chanting
for meat forever. And I'll hit on that in just a second, because I think there's something interesting about that. But yeah, like, you know, CM Punk could just be addition by subtraction. You know, I'm a fan of Bill Simmons, and Bill Simmons has a popular theory that he likes to talk about all the time on his podcast called the Ewing theory. Which basically, if you're not a basketball fan, Patrick Ewing, superstar Knicks center from the 1990s, he gets hurt. The team has a better record when he's hurt. And basically his theory was just like, hey, when you have a star player, there's so much focus that has to happen on that star player that when they leave or get hurt, now it gives other guys an opportunity to step up and you can make a more cohesive basketball team. Well, I think similar in this case with AEW, like Ricky Starks can get more screen time now. Swerve Strickland can get more screen time now. If Adam Copeland and fucking Mercedes Moné come walking through the door in 3 months, is that going to matter?
I mean, by all indications, it looks like Copeland is probably going to be in.
Like, is anybody going to miss CM Punk? CM Punk had great moments in AEW. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
The Dax Harwood match was great.
The dog collar.
The dog collar with MJF was fantastic. He's had moments, but it's not like he was carrying the show.
Yeah.
He might have been carrying it like ratings-wise, you know, and merch-wise. But like the ratings will come if you just put good wrestling product out there, you know? So I think that there's an all-star roster just waiting to be used in AEW.
Does Copeland have any daddy issues?
Well, if he does, our boy Christian's gonna find him out. That's for sure. Before we move on to All Out, though, we have to talk about Jack Perry. I have been a known Jack Perry hater for a while on this podcast. If anybody knows Tony Khan, Jack Perry, if you somehow magically listen to this podcast, you have a moment right here, my friend.
Somebody holler at Conrad Thompson to get in his ear.
Jack Perry, you have an opportunity here to be the greatest thing in wrestling, and I'm going to give you the blueprint right here. You can take this for free, okay? When you come back from suspension, you start doing the go to sleep. That's your new finisher. I don't know what your finisher was before. Guess what? Now it's the go to sleep.
It was that bear trap or whatever it was called.
Yeah, fuck that.
Snare trap.
Yeah, we ain't doing that shit no more. Go to sleep, okay? That's what you're doing. You can keep wearing the jacket, the pants, all that shit's fine. Don't change the look. You're going to come out with 2 t-shirts. You're going to come out with a t-shirt that is straight CM Punk colors, the fucking baby blue, the white, the red, like the Chicago flag.
Ringer shirt.
And it just says, Cry Me a River, okay? You start using that in promos. But then here's the biggest thing. Here's where you do your gimmick change. You come back from suspension, and you get on the microphone, and you say, listen, everyone knows what happened. AEW is an unsafe work environment. I've been beaten up now twice by different people, by one, he who shall not be named, and the other one by Hook. Okay? So now I have a contract here that my legal team has drawn up that AEW has gotten into agreement with. If anybody touches me outside the confines of a wrestling match, I will sue and I will own this own company. Okay? You do that. And then what you do is whenever a babyface is giving him shit, of course they can't touch Jack Perry, right? Because he'll fucking sue and own everything. So then he just gets up in their face and he says, do we have a problem? And I swear to God, Jack Perry, you think Dominic Mysterio's got levels of heat and craziness about him? Let Jack Perry do that. I swear to you, I'll buy a fucking shirt. I'll buy 4 of them. He will be my favorite wrestler if he does that. Please, Jack Perry, take a negative, turn it into a positive. Okay? That's all you have to do. You've been gifted an opportunity here. Do not waste it. Don't waste it.
You heard it here first.
Anyway, that's free if Jack Perry wants to use that.
Somebody pass the word along, and make some money.
That instantly makes him way more interesting.
You know, I said last week that I was like, what if the whole Cry Me a River to the camera thing was a work, and then just trying to get him more heat as a heel.
Which I think is what his side said. I
Sure.
think what the reports were, that's what he told CM Punk. Like, hey, I'm working. Hey, I'm just trying to get heat, whatever.
But
hey, listen, sometimes, opportunity lands at your doorstep. Doesn't matter how I got there. It's now here.
Yeah.
Please do it. It's now time for AEW to be petty. Fucking old Phil Brooks is petty as shit. He's Mr. Petty. Now it's you time. It's your time to be petty.
You know,
Richard Petty.
Did you see the clips of from Being the Elite?
Yeah.
With Omega drinking that Pepsi.
Oh, well, they're the Petty Kings, first of all.
Yeah.
But they're the Petty Kings off of TV. They're just on the YouTube.
Sure.
I want my man Jack to do this right into the camera with a wink and a nod. And the best thing you can have if you're Jack Perry is that old fucking CM Punk tweets about it. That would just be, oh my God, that would be gold.
Yeah, because he hasn't made any sort of public statements or tweets or anything.
No, it has been reported that when he does make one, it is going to be damning and explosive.
Whatever, man.
I mean, okay.
You better have some fucking receipts and some tape.
Yeah.
Because nobody's going to, whatever.
Listen, we were kind of on his side about the whole thing.
Sure, yeah.
But you can't continue
you can't
to
lunge
escalate
at your
it.
boss.
Yeah. You can't do that.
I don't care what happens. Because Tony was probably just over there chilling, like, I'm not going to get in the middle of this.
And Tony looks like he has never been in a fight before in his life. So if you look at that dude sternly, he looks like he might
start crying.
Yeah. So
yeah,
there's a lot of people like that. But yeah, anyway. Oh, what I want to say about All Out, though, was that a lot of people from All Out, well, not a lot of them, half the card was like guys that weren't featured at all in All In. And, you know, we equate a lot of this stuff to like a locker room in a traditional sports setting a lot, but like some of these guys at All In, like Miro and Powerhouse Hobbs, they were probably like, look, everybody thinks this pay-per-view is going to be shit. Let's fucking go out here and steal the show.
Yeah.
And apparently that happened. We just watched the clips. We didn't actually buy. We were one of the people that couldn't really afford to spend $50 twice.
Again.
But I'd be damned if these reports were like, oh, yeah, there were like 5 matches that could have been match of the year candidates for this thing.
Yeah. I mean, I saw a lot of people being like, okay, well, we wondered how Chicago would react. And like, a lot of people here probably got no idea who Phil Brooks even is anymore because these wrestlers were out here just showing out.
And that's a credit to AEW. They continue, every time something happens, they rally. And they put on a hell of a show.
Yeah.
And I love, like, you talked about mention too. We've already mentioned like what happens with AEW now. Like we thought it was going to be MJF and CM Punk. Fuck it, Samoa Joe's there. Just do that. I'm way more interested in that.
Well, you saw the throwback, right?
Yeah, the throwback
where everybody there's you can watch them like stacked on top of each other, but like Joe come down the hallway in NXT and pushing Max out of the way, and then the other day. Max is coming up the ramp after his match. Joe just fucking doesn't even really look at him and just shoves him.
Yeah. And now it presents a really interesting character moment for MJF because here he has been this whole time a cocky heel, right? Even though he's a babyface right now, he's still just been like cocky. You know, Adam Cole, he said he was on his level, blah, blah, blah. Samoa Joe's a straight killer, man. He ain't going to be able to pull that cocky bullshit with him. He's going to have to fight from underneath.
Yeah.
This is going to be the true MJF babyface matchup, and I'm all here for it. I just think it is just insane that like a company can lose somebody the caliber of CM Punk and like on the back burner there's just Samoa Joe that can fill his slot or Bryan Danielson or John Moxley. Like that's crazy to think about.
Or now you even got like Jay White.
Yeah, Jay White
Jay White's going to have a belt sooner or later in this company.
Yeah. Yeah. The Bullet Club Gold continues to just be fantastic. But like it's crazy because CM Punk and AEW should have just worked. I mean, AEW was out of the mold of what CM Punk was doing in the mid-2000s and in WWE. I mean, it came out of a lot of dudes have his DNA. Similar to like a Danielson and a Joe, like all these dudes on the indies were tearing it up. But CM Punk was the guy that he went to WWE first when WWE was still in the John Cena mold of things, right? And CM Punk was the guy that kind of broke out. But Punk was never really the dude in WWE. The company never saw him that way. And, you know, all these promos now after the fact have started making their way back on wrestling Twitter where Triple H a couple years ago was like, hey, you claim you want to be a martyr and you claim you care about these fans. You only really care about yourself. Turns out, hey, Papa H might have been right, you know? Or the John Moxley promo where John Moxley says, He looks to the fans and he goes, hey, enjoy this dude while you can because he's fragile mind, fragile body, fragile spirit. He ain't going to be here long.
Yeah.
Fucking 4, well, about a year later, he's gone. Eddie Kingston, their promo. He's like, nobody likes you. They're all afraid to say it, but like, leave, get out. Turns out all these motherfuckers were just telling the truth. Nobody liked this dude.
Yeah.
So it's wild. I think it really puts a damper on CM Punk's legacy because when you talk about CM Punk, this is the only thing you're going to be able to talk about. Or this will be the first thing you talk about.
Right.
Just the fact that he self-sabotaged himself out of really 2 companies.
Yeah.
In WWE, when he left there, he was given the benefit of the doubt, right?
Yeah. That was a different time. You know, there was a lot going on there with Vince and everything and like
Getting fired on your wedding day, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but like
Now there's no benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
You got in a fist fight.
Twitter wasn't popping off back then either.
Well, in AEW, he gets in a fist fight, and instead of the owner firing, the owner goes, we'll just give you another show.
Yeah.
You can work a separate day. And he still found a way to fuck it up.
Yeah, that's a shame because I did enjoy him on screen, right?
Yes, you can't take away the kind of magnetism that guy had with a microphone in his hand.
Yeah. It's all the other shit that comes along with it. And you're like, you don't want, you know, you got people saying, oh, we're great backstage. And like, you know, most of them probably are. But then you got people trying to avoid people like Punk and it doesn't make work very fun.
Yeah, and if AEW was in a different position where they hadn't just come off a weekend where they put 80,000+ in Wembley Stadium, maybe CM Punk gets a third chance, you know? But they did.
Yeah, I think it was the lunging at Tony Khan that sealed his fate, right? Had to have been.
Yeah, and somebody finally getting in Tony's ear and be like, what do you want to see now? How much more you want to do?
Yeah.
How
He's
much
a
more
liability, like...
Yeah.
Like I said, it's, you know, all it takes is a monitor falling on Christopher Daniels' head or somebody if he's sitting there, you know, like, because he sits there like right beside Tony Khan for a lot of it.
Yeah.
So
or like worse, right? What if he fucking does it to a fan? Like, what if you don't know? Like, it's at this point you have to assume this dude is not mentally all there, or at least has anger issues.
Yeah, he's got some issues for sure.
Yeah, maybe he should drink a beer and smoke a little weed. Maybe this, you know, maybe the whole straight edge thing ain't working for you, dog. This is how you
take your edge off a little bit.
Yeah,
your straight edge. Maybe them edges need to be rounded a little bit.
Get you a little bourbon, buddy.
Just a little nip. I mean, he's saying you got to go, you know, full bore on this shit.
Yeah.
So. Well, we've spent a lot of time with that. Let's go over a couple of these we could just touch on. Hey, you know, a couple of words here. A couple of these we want to spend a little more time with, but we are running a little long. So the first match of the night, Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship match, Better Than You Baby versus Dark Order, which was Alex Reynolds and John Silver. It was okay, fine from what I saw.
Yeah, I mean, they're not taking the belts off Better Than You Baby.
Right.
This was just a way to get them on the card, and two, to get to the MJF and Samoa Joe angle.
Yeah. So then you get the Ring of Honor World TV Championship match. Samoa Joe pushes MJF out of the way, which is funny as shit, versus Shane Taylor. I didn't know shit about Shane Taylor, but a lot of people were super pumped to see him on the card.
Well, the clip that I saw, Shane Taylor's been good, but I mean, he's Ring of Honor. There's really no spot for him in AEW. It's cool that he got this showing, but like wouldn't expect much from him going forward. It was just cool watching this clip because, like I said, I didn't actually watch pay-per-view. When MJF was walking up the ramp and Samoa Joe's music hit, you could feel like in the crowd, people be like, "Oh shit!" And then Samoa Joe pushes him, and the crowd just went apeshit. Because they're like, "All right, yeah, we're in for this." MJF and Samoa Joe, all for it. So yeah, that was cool to see.
That was planned, surely, right?
100%, yeah. Because like we talked about, it was weird that Punk was calling himself the real world champion, and MJF didn't acknowledge him whatsoever. And we theorized like, oh, it's because he's got to get through All In and Adam Cole, and that'll be what they do going forward. Leading up to All Out and to Full Gear, like it probably would have been MJF and CM Punk. Well, if he's not there, like Samoa Joe's not a bad backup plan. That's a hell of a plan B to have.
Right. So then the next was a TNT championship match. Didn't go the way I expected. Luchasaurus retained over Darby Allin, which I kind of thought they would put it back on Darby and let Darby run for a little while.
This means that Edge is going to walk in this company pretty soon. And if you're going to do that, Christian Cage needs a belt. Even though he didn't win it, that's what he needs. And that's what they're going to do. They'll do Adam Copeland versus Christian Cage.
Yeah. Sooner rather than later, it seems like.
Yeah, you don't want anybody associated with Christian at this point taking losses. Even a guy as crazy and as sort of dumb as Luchasaurus. But apparently from the people that saw this match was like, yeah, Luchasaurus showed out. Like he showed what he can be. Like,
yeah.
And so if he becomes AEW's version of Kane, that's not a bad spot to be in. And Darby, doesn't need the win here. Darby is already over with the crowd. I mean, once you're over, you're over.
Yeah.
So Luchasaurus needed the win, and Christian damn sure needs that title if you're about to have a big time name like Adam Copeland come walking through the door.
Yeah. So next up, the meat slappers. We got Miro versus Powerhouse Hobbs.
This got a meat forever chant. That's wild. That's
slap that meat.
Slap that meat. Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, crazy. We didn't think this was going to be any good, and then turns out
break match. Yeah.
Turns out you just get two behemoths when they slap the shit out of each other. Like it's always going to be over. Yeah. Doesn't matter. It is pro wrestling at the end of the day.
True. And then you get the TBS championship match with Statlander versus Ruby Soho. Statlander retains. From what I saw of it, it was fine. Toni
Storm is doing, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, her and Juice Robinson. Best character work in wrestling right now belongs to those two.
Yeah, what was it? Saraya said, not Saraya. Yeah, Saraya said the other night, she was like, Ruby asked where Toni was, and Saraya's like, she was out half naked in the parking lot screaming at somebody.
She was screaming at throwing shoes at birds, I think is what she said. Just fantastic. I mean, she has taken the disgraced starlet that, turns to booze and Valium. Like, she's brought that to pro wrestling and has just, her character is out of the park. She will be a babyface pretty soon. I mean, it's like we talk about with any time in AEW. Anytime something starts hitting and starts being really good, the fans get behind it and they start cheering her. She'll be a babyface.
Yeah.
Pretty soon.
So then we'll spend a little bit more time.
We also can't talk about Chris Stanlander coming out with the Zoolander and getting a shout out from Ben Stiller.
Oh, I totally missed that part.
Oh, you didn't see that? Yeah, it was Zoolander gear she was in. Blue Steel, the thing. She tweeted about it, and Ben Stiller tweeted her back. Said ridiculously good looking. Because people were like, why is Chris Statlander doing duckface? I'm like, first of all, she's not. That's Blue Steel. That's what she's doing. So, yeah.
I missed that. That's funny. So the strap match between Ricky Starks and Bryan Danielson, they put a bunch of this one up on the Facebook page, and that was mostly how I was watching this, and then some clips that were getting shared on the Squared Circle Reddit. But a lot of people calling this the best strap match. We got a lot of that a couple years ago with CM Punk and MJF and their strap match. People saying it
that was a dog collar.
Dog collar, yeah. But everybody was talking about this one the other night and it being a game changer for elevating Ricky Starks.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching the clips. I'm like, damn, I'm going to have to buy this fucking pay-per-view when I get time. I'll probably have to buy it this weekend just to watch it. I mean, the clips that I saw from this one in the Moxley Orange Cassidy, I'm like, that was probably worth the price of admission right there, just buying it. So I'll get my hands on it. But yeah, Bryan Danielson, he's the GOAT, greatest in-ring performer of all time. And he has become the mountain that you have to climb in AEW to move into a new level of superstardom. He has now done it with Hangman. He's done it with MJF. And it looks like he's done it with Ricky Starks as well.
He was part of the reason Garcia was getting over so well a year ago.
Yeah. Their program that they were going on. So yeah. Like I said, when I mentioned CM Punk getting fired, I mean, this company has an embarrassment of riches. And, CM Punk for Bryan Danielson is a net positive, or Bryan Danielson for CM Punk is a net positive 9 times over. I mean, the dude He's everything we wanted CM Punk to be, right? Locker room leader. You heard the way in his press conference he just gushed about Ricky Starks. And just the fact that fucking he comes back from injury and steps in, slots into this role. What more can you ask for? I mean, that's a real locker room leader.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, when all that happened last year with Brawl Out, he and Mox and Jericho were the three that kind of took the reins and held a, talent only meeting or whatever,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be nothing but positive. If you can get him on a lot of those Saturday night shows.
The shows, it won't miss a beat.
Yeah.
It'll keep going.
Yeah. I mean, in hell, and there's probably I know there's a lot of people that would watch it just for Punk, but there's a lot of people that would much rather see Bryan Danielson than CM Punk.
And there's a lot of people who are just new to wrestling, period, right? That don't have any kind of attachment to CM Punk in any kind of way. Like, they're new fans. They're kids, teenagers, like whatever. They weren't around when CM Punk was doing this stuff. They don't understand the appeal that CM Punk has to guys like who are our age, who were, CM Punk was an oasis when wrestling was probably at one of its worst in terms of talent wise and story wise. That those mid 2000s ish. That's why a lot of people became Ring of Honor fans, because the mainstream product was just so watered down and bad. People were tired of John Cena's and the Triple H's of the world, and they wanted something else.
Right.
But Danielson is of that ilk. I mean, he was right there in Ring of Honor. So it's just crazy that CM Punk leaves Ring of Honor, Danielson steps up.
Yeah.
CM Punk leaves WWE, Danielson steps up. Fucking CM Punk gets fired from AEW, Danielson's going to slide into this role, and it's just going to keep on going.
Yeah.
It's wild.
What does he keep grabbing? My dog keeps grabbing shit.
He's ripping something up.
I think it's puzzle pieces from when my niece was here.
Well, it ain't gonna be much of a puzzle no more, or it's a lot more of a puzzle.
Well, you give,
yes, it probably will be
a puzzle to a 2.5-year-old. It ain't a puzzle for real long.
Yeah.
So yeah, open weight champion Eddie Kingston and Shibata versus Claudio and Wheeler, and Eddie came out with the Claudio sucks egg shirt.
Shout out to Terry
Funk. Yeah, I didn't see too much of this one. So
they didn't post a lot of this one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was fine. You probably got a lot of good stuff between Eddie and Claudio.
It's just a way to keep that story going, though.
Yeah. And then we've got 3 left here. It looks like Kenny Omega versus Takeshita. Takeshita, just a badass. I mean, we could say it, and we could say it, and we could say it, but dude is a freak.
He's a star. Yeah, he's a star.
I still don't like him as a heel, but
he works, man.
Yeah,
he works. You say you don't like him as a heel, but like at this point, do you buy him as a babyface? First of all, he towers over everybody. He's 6'4", 240 pounds. Like, who's he going to be the underdog against?
True.
So I love the pairing of him and Don Callis. And yeah, I saw clips from this match. Fucking, he dropped Kenny right on the back, right on his head. Some of them damn elbows were just trying to knock him out completely. I mean, it was fantastic.
The damn thing, the launch he does across the fucking ring.
Yeah. Hits at full speed. Again, who's going to step up? This dude's waiting. He's waiting for his moment. You want to see more Takeshita on Saturday nights? I would. Again.
Can we get Takeshita? Ooh, well, but they're both heels, and they've worked together recently. I was going to say, let's get Takeshita and Jay White. But, I mean, Jay and the Bullet Club keep getting the chance like they're getting. I mean, that's babyface turn at some point, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to run Collision.
Yeah.
Pretty soon. It's the groundswell from them is happening. The Juice Robinson, the Guns, the Jay White. First of all, Jay White is by far, outside of maybe MJF, Jay White's the most protected dude in AEW. He still had not eaten a pin. Even when his team loses, he never gets pinned. And he beats everybody. So, like, they have big plans for him. And, they got big plans for Takeshita, too, because he fucking wins this match against Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
Not many dudes have pinned Kenny Omega in
that's
AEW,
true.
especially in a singles match.
That's true. So then the penultimate match of the night, the 8-man tag, FTR and the Young Bucks versus Bullet Club Gold. A lot of fun shit happening here, which when they announced that lineup or that match, I was like, oh, okay. Because you've had the dynamic of, FTR tried to shake the Bucks' hand.
Yeah.
At Wembley and vice versa. And then they get paired together versus who, could be running Collision real soon. Even like the fucking Guns are getting over these days.
Yeah.
And people talking about their entrance. You've been on their entrance for a while. People talk about.
Well, they changed their entrance.
They've changed it up even.
Everybody's in it.
Yeah. The 4 of them.
So kudos to AEW for being like, hey, this is a good thing we got. How do we keep it going? So now you got Jay White in the center. Camera spins. You got old Juice in the back and the Guns on the side. It looks fucking badass. They get the win here.
Yeah.
Fucking Jay White got the pin, which makes sense, right? Anytime you have 4 dudes who are in a group, they should be any combination of just 4 random dudes.
4 randos, yeah.
That's
even
just
if
how
it
should
is
work.
the Young Bucks and FTR.
Yeah. Or else, why are those 4 dudes in a group if they just all suck? Like they got to be able to beat people.
Right.
But again, the finish to this, what I saw was smooth as hell. The creativity to get everybody into their things, everybody being at their spots at the right time. And then, Jay snapping off that damn, what's he call that move? What's that fucking Sister Abigail? What does he call it, though? Switchblade.
Yeah, Switchblade.
It's just fucking, it's crazy. It's crazy the amount of talent this guy has. And we got more card blades. There were smaller card blades now. I think you can buy one.
Oh,
they're
shit.
selling them. Yeah, they're selling them.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, again, being like, hey, this is the thing. Let's keep it going.
From the Book of Jericho, yeah.
Yeah, it's straight out of that Jericho book, man. Anytime get something stupid, treat it seriously, get it over. Works every single time. Jack Perry, listen to me. We're going the Book of Jericho.
Print that money.
Just print it. Cry me a river. Do we have a problem? 2 things. Get over.
Yeah. So main event time. Freshly Squeezed versus Jon Moxley. This is what we mentioned briefly earlier. One of those elevating performances where, I think Cassidy probably won over a lot of haters, which, a lot of people have come around to Cassidy in the last year or so anyway, but I still saw some haters today on Facebook or wherever talking about, I hope he's off TV for a long time and blah, 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 because I don't get it. But, we were talking about Danielson elevating Starks and Mox, elevating Cassidy in this one. And it'd be sort of a breakout. Not a breakout's not the right word, but it's a match that solidifies that Cassidy can hang with the big dogs, right?
This is a match where he's up against a dude who was one of the biggest stars for the biggest wrestling company in the world. It's a star-making performance. And I love the fact that even in Moxley's promo, this is where Moxley and these guys are so smart. He didn't talk down about Orange Cassidy. He, in his promo, I think it was either Wednesday night or Saturday, where he's just backstage. He's like, people called this dude a cosplayer. Who is he pretending to be? He's just him. And he was pumping up his accomplishments, Orange Cassidy's accomplishments. He called him the best champion in professional wrestling, So again, it's just so smart to be able to, Moxley's the heel in this situation, but he doesn't try to belittle his opponent at all. He elevates him up. And then, in this match, you get a Cassidy busted up, bloody Cassidy giving double fingers. We even got the full evolution of the fake little weak kicks that go into the, stomps, man. The evolution of his character.
We got a full promo from him. Was it Saturday night?
Yeah. My name's Orange Cassidy, and I do not have a catchphrase. Again, we've much like, when Hangman finally got his world title, that felt like a kind of culmination of a character arc for him. Kind of feels the same way for Moxley, or not Moxley, for Cassidy here, even though he lost the match. this feels like a full evolution of where he was to where he is now. From when he came in, he debuted, what was it? Somebody like opened the door and he was just like sitting in the bathroom.
There was that, and there was one where Trent and Chuck were like in the corner, and they did something like right against the rail, and then they stood up, and like Cassidy was behind them.
Yeah,
and I was like, "Who is this guy?" And they're like, "Oh, it's Orange Cassidy." I was like, "Who is Orange Cassidy?"
And now nobody's asking who is Orange Cassidy. He main evented a pay-per-view against one of the biggest stars of his generation and showed up and showed out. And yeah, I mean, again, who's going to fill CM Punk's shoes? You got a lot of choices to pick from. We've already seen the way Cassidy's gotten over with fans and kids especially. I mean, fucking they dress up like him. He's the easiest dude to cosplay as. Right. John Moxley talked about people cosplaying as calling Cassidy a cosplayer. People are now cosplaying as him, right? It's come full circle. So, you're going to have the old heads of the world that just will never like Orange Cassidy. And guess what? That's fine, because if that's the case, AEW is not for you. AEW is not, maybe they were trying to in the beginning. AEW is no longer trying to put WWE out of business. It's not going to happen. They just want to be an alternative. They want to show you a different side of what pro wrestling can be. So if you do not like the blood, if you don't like some of the exaggerated moves and the lack of selling in wrestling and that AEW has, like, cool, guess what? There's other stuff in AEW you might like. You might like Better Than You Baby and MJF. You might like, the Lucha Brothers or the Best Friends or like whatever. They just want to be something different. And I think that's, at the end of the day, that's what I really appreciate about this company is that, like, we watch a pay-per-view like Payback, or even, let's go back to WrestleMania last year, the culmination, right? One night of WrestleMania was really good. The second night of WrestleMania was just like, eh.
It was okay.
And all of it felt a little sanitized. Like WWE feels sanitized. AEW, for good, bad, or indifferent, they're going to give you a whole smorgasbord of shit. And, people like me and you gravitate to that, I think.
A lot of people on Twitter Sunday night were like, this is the best pay-per-view I've seen this year.
And a lot of people were like, this is dog shit. It's just bleeding. Like, I don't like it. There's no stories. And that's cool, too. That's why you got WWE. I just want wrestling fans to kind of appreciate that at the end of the day, this is an art form. And there's no right or wrong way to do it. There's just your way, however you want to do it. And I think Orange Cassidy is the best example of that.
Yeah. I mean, I love it. You got anything else for the week?
I think that's it. It's a lot.
Shout out New South. Have you seen Braden Toons getting a lot of GCW work these days?
Good. He's talented.
Yeah.
Should.
Yeah, that dude's fun as shit to watch in the ring.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's headlining the show in December. They've already got a artwork out for it. I guess it'll be at Singing River probably in Florence. Yeah, I've just seen his name on several GCW shows lately, and I was like, hell yeah. Good to see that happening. And I feel like there was somebody else from New South popping off with GCW too, but I could be wrong.
I'm pretty sure I saw Adam Priest get chokeslammed by Satnam Singh.
Oh, really?
On Twitter? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Jeff Jarrett, I think it was at one of Conrad's events.
Oh, okay.
Pretty sure it was Adam Priest.
Starcast was this weekend.
Okay, yeah, I think Priest got put through a table for that Satnam Singh.
Cassio got his picture with Satnam. I saw that on his Instagram.
How did they frame it up? Did they just frame it where it was just Cassio and you couldn't see Satnam?
No, it was a full body shot.
That's the only way you have to do that picture.
Yeah. Speaking of Adam Priest, he won the Rocket City Championship out in
cool.
Meridianville. Which he beat Action Mike Jackson. I don't know how long. I don't think Mike had it for very long out there.
Best tan in the business, Action Mike Jackson. Nobody's beating him.
Well, yeah, man. Y'all just fucking enjoy wrestling. Like, it should be a fairly, I mean, who knows? Should be a fairly tame week. There's no pay-per-views this week. After having pay-per-views for 3 different pay-per-views in two weeks.
And fights galore.
Yeah.
It should just be. And now, of course, this is the last Monday night without NFL football.
Yeah.
So, we're kind of in our little lull period here for a little bit. But that doesn't mean there can't be no good wrestling.
Yeah.
Just because a lot of people are going to watch NFL doesn't mean there's going to be, the wrestlers are going to take nights off.
True. I mean, they still got to get paid.
Yeah, they're still going to go out there and bust their ass for
the
live fans and everybody else.
There'll be college football on Saturday nights during Collision.
Can I just mention this real quick before we wrap up? I know we're getting heavy on time. Why y'all hating on Deion Sanders? Listen.
Deion shut a lot of people up. Deion is
swagged out, okay? And I love the fact that he is embracing pretty much the pro wrestling heel, okay? He's Ric Flair from 1986, okay? You don't like it, but you better learn to love it because we ain't going nowhere, What did Deion say? We're coming. We keep receipts. I just love, college football. I'm not the biggest college football fan, mostly because it's kind of boring. And that, I mean, it's the same teams every year.
Sure.
I mean, it's the Bamas, it's the Ohio State. Used to be the Clemson, but they got fucking boat raced a couple nights ago.
People say that, but then you get shit like what happened on Saturday.
But then
that was an 11 a.m. game, and I had to make a quick grocery store run in the second quarter. But that game was just back and forth. Colorado goes up by 2 touchdowns. Then TCU's back in it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, it's just fucking shootout. Whoever's got the ball last is going to fucking win this game.
And Deion just bringing it out, all the transfers. And now everybody's fucking hating on it. Y'all hating on it because, you hate us because you ain't us, okay? The Alabama Slam podcast, at least my section, we're fully endorsing the Colorado Buffaloes to win the national championship this year. I'm going all the way in, okay? I'm going to be upset when they lose. I'm on this ride, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Look, and then people were like, oh, he just transferred a son and named his son the QB1 without even getting into practice. Okay.
Yeah. Fuck you. He's good.
What did he do? He went out there and threw for 530 yards, had 4 receivers that had over 100 yards, one of which played every fucking snap, damn near every snap, because he played offense and defense.
That boy's something else.
He had over 100 yards receiving and had a pick.
That boy's something else.
A pick in the red zone.
Yeah. And dropped another one. I just brought Deion up because, pro wrestling infiltrates so much of other stuff now. It's infiltrated politics. It's infiltrated reality TV. I mean, reality TV, the whole renaissance that it had, in the mid-2000s, it basically just copied wrestling. That's all it did. And now Deion Sanders is now embracing. We know he's buddies with Ric Flair. That's all he's doing. And these people are, the college football fans, these old heads are losing their fucking mind. And I love it because it has infused this level of excitement and energy into this thing that has basically for the past, I don't know, a dozen years been fucking 5 teams.
Yeah.
And now they come out of nowhere. And, not to get too, there's little racist undertones like, oh, there's a black man doing this. Well, we all know that, right? Yeah, he's swagged out and these people can't handle it.
I'm here for it.
I'm here for it too. I'm all in. They're gonna fucking beat the shit out of Nebraska.
When they scored that first touchdown, I was like, okay, let's go. I'm in. This is an 11 o'clock game.
Yep.
I should be doing errands, something, taking a nap. I was like, no, I'm watching this.
It's pro wrestling.
Get a cup of coffee.
Pro wrestling at its finest, man. Act like you belong, and people will lose their minds when you succeed. And guess what? They'll pay to. Everybody's gonna be watching Colorado Buffalo games either to support them like me and you, or to see them lose,
or to hate on them. Yeah, I don't know what time they play this weekend.
As long as they're watching, doesn't matter.
Have you looked to see who they play?
They play Nebraska at home in Colorado. I think they're gonna beat the shit out of them. So
yeah,
but I'm here for it. I'm here for Deion Sanders.
Give the ball to Shador
and Travis Hunter.
Well, this is what was interesting too. I watched Deion on Pat McAfee and a bunch of other things today.
Yeah.
And he was talking about Shador was like, I've played against the best DB in the world since I was 6. He was like, I've been like, I know what the defenses are doing. And that's what Deion was like. He called his first audible at 7 years old in Pee Wee. He was like, he knows what's fixing to happen.
Yep.
So he's like, I'm just going to give this man the ball and let him throw it to whoever. He's like, somebody's going to be open and he's going to get him the ball.
Yep.
It's like, all right, well, let's go.
Shout out to Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
Next week, he should just come out and be like, we're the national champions. We're just waiting to be crowned at the end of the season. And people will fucking lose their minds.
Oh, too many old head white folks.
Keep giving them the Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Keep on strutting on them.
I just want to see Deion give somebody a post-game woo.
Oh, what'll happen? Oh, fucking, if they beat Nebraska, damn, Ric Flair is going to be there. Ric Flair will be there at the Colorado USC game. He'll be decked out in all Colorado gear. They'll get him out for that.
Yeah.
Our man Riggs. So, yeah, shout out. I just want to throw that out there at the end of the podcast because I thought, pro wrestling, it's everywhere, man.
Yeah.
Everybody's stealing from it.
I love it. All right. Well, y'all tune in next week. Follow us at the Alabama Slam podcast on Facebook. You can follow Alabama Slam Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And be sure to follow our network of fellow podcasters at the Alabama Take on all social medias and the alabamatake.com. We got, I should probably count them up. There's 5 or 6 different podcasts almost every day of the week. We've got this wrestling podcast, 2 different sports podcasts. There's one called Taking It Down, one called Take It On Sports, one called The Stare Down. There's a weekly pop culture podcast called Taking It Down. We are a Star War. We're being pretty active with releasing those right now with me and some friends of mine talking about Star Wars. And Check Your Shelf, monthly book podcast by my lovely wife and her good friend Jennifer. And then This Song Sucks is still in season 3. I think they're almost done with their season. But yeah, follow us everywhere and tell us that we're awesome and all that stuff. And we'll talk to y'all next week.
Later, guys.